I'm Lauren Batty. I'm the assistant manager at 33 Northern, which is a children's home in Lincolnshire.
And I'm Joan Benson. I'm the manager at Northern.
Can you please explain what a children's residential home is?
So hard to put that into just a small, like a sentence. It is just a home. It's a home for children who have suffered really traumatic events in their young lives. And it's a home where they can feel safe, where they feel loved, and where they have lots of carers that look after them. And it's either their forever home or it's just a bit of a stopgap so we can help them to move on to their forever home.
So you talked a little bit about like why children go into residential homes, about that trauma. We've talked about the whole notion of misconceptions of why children go into residential homes. Can you give any examples of why that is?
Yeah, I'll give you some examples. It's a whole range of things really, because we can have children who have moved in here because they've had a loss of their mum and dad and they've got no other care people around them that can look after them. We have had children that come in because they have suffered really severe neglect by, it could be their parents, it could be other caregivers that have been in their lives. So they live with us. We have children that have lived with us who have had been in foster care placements and they've had multiple moves, and then they come and live with us. So it's a really whole range. I think the main theme is that every child that comes to live with us, it's not anything of their own doing at all, and it's things that they've suffered from other people.
In the past, we've had some that have been, their parents have been in prison as well, haven't they? So they've obviously seen a lot of things in their family homes, which have been really difficult for them.
And do you find that you guys have been on the receiving end of any of them misconceptions from the public?
All the time. We have it from the children that move in themselves, that they don't have a bedroom or they've got shared bedrooms, that they're not allowed out the house, that they're locked in, to their parents who also have them, to even foster carers who, when they come and meet us and see where the child's going, they have to say, well, this is nothing like I expected. I never thought it'd be like this. This is really nice. It's like, what did you expect? Tracy Beaker. That's always the one that comes up, Tracy Beaker. It's like, well, we're nothing like that. And we go into all the things that we do and we do with the children. And they're like, oh, wow, yeah, this is so different. It's getting better. And it's getting, as residentials going out more and we're really showcasing what we do, that misconception is getting better than it was, say, 10 years ago. But it's still, I'm still shocked at how many people have a real wrong idea of what children's homes are in this day and age.
And everybody thinks it's really sad that their child's in a children's home. They always, whenever you explain what you do for a living, or the children explain to their friends at school or whatever that they live in a children's home, everyone thinks that's really, really sad. And I think what's really sad is that they've experienced all this abuse. Actually now they're in a place where they're loved, where they go on holiday, where they have their own colour bedroom, where they have toys, they have whatever clothes they want, they have friends, they go to on hobbies and interest. They're happy. That the fact that they live here isn't sad. What's sad is what they've experienced.
And I've seen some of the relationships that they have with their key workers as well, and it is just a really lovely relationship. It's not even like a teacher-child, relationship.
No, it's much closer. Yeah, I mean, teacher and children aren't allowed that physical touch. We hug. The kids leaving the school and say, I love you, and you shout, I love you. When they come back, you give them a hug, tell me about your day. It is just, it's
tuck them in at bedtime.
Yeah, it's a very close relationship that the children form with all the staff here, not even just the key workers, it's the whole staff team. And that's one of the biggest things that we promote.
All the staff sort of have their own role. So like we have people who sort of play that grandma role, and then we have like the cheeky auntie who says things she shouldn't say, and then we have like the playful uncle, and everybody sort of develops their own fake family for them. They have all these different people that they lean on for different things. If they want to talk about music, they'll go to that person. If they want to play cars, they'll go to that person. So it's just sort of like a little false family to try and replicate what you would have if you were at home.
Yeah, it creates that dynamic for them, doesn't it? So they've still got them connections, really. And I know you guys do a lot of work with children who are in the homes who like you say have struggled with past traumas, and I didn't know if you had any examples of some of the the ways that and strategies that you've helped support children when they've come into the homes?
So a lot of the work that we do initially, when a child first comes in, the focus is on the relationship. So we put all our time and effort into building that relationship with them, because they initially and long term, we need to make them feel safe, and we need them to trust us, and we need them to us to be able to have that consistent approach with them. So we get to know them, they get to know us, and then everything that we do is about safety. It's just about teaching them that they can come to us no matter how big or small the issue is. If they've done something that they're a bit ashamed of, or they think maybe they've not made the right choice, that they're not going to get judged, and we're going to work through it, and we're going to put in things to help that risk or that safety then eliminate in the future, which is what you would do with your own children at home. You want them to come to you when they've done something, or said something that they maybe shouldn't have said, or if they've had an argument with a friend, or everything. It's all about just building that relationship so that you can work through anything. But we also want to know what they want. It depends on what the child's looking for. So if the child comes to you and their goal is that they want to go back to the nan, then we need to build up that relationship with the nan. So we want to know the nan. We want to go for a cup of tea with the nan. We want to go and sit and have a vanilla slice or whatever with the nan, and we need them to be able to help bridge that gap between that relationship, so that eventually they can then spend that time with them on their own. They can go for a tea there on their own without us being there. They can have an overnight, they can go for a weekend, they can go on holiday. And that's something that we've recently done with one of our children, so that at some point they'll be ready to have that complete soul relationship without us being involved in that at all.
We had a child recently who moved in who he lived in an out-of-county placement, children's home actually it was, and he wasn't in school. He was seeing his mum once every 6 months. Like, it was very, he wasn't in a great place. So we brought him back into our home, and we did all of that initial work around relationships. We got him to trust us. We built up a relationship with mum. It's really about breaking them walls down and being like, right, you've got the social worker, but you've got us as well, and we really want to build them relationships with you. And we've been really successful with that, and especially with this case. And we worked with them both together. We got him back into school, we got him back to have family time with mum, and he's now moved back to live with mum. So that work that we do with them is so important to get them successful end goals. And that could be moving back to family, that could be moving to foster care, or that could be moving to semi-independent. We have children that we've moved in semi-independent successfully, and also we've moved into their own flat. They've stayed with us till they're 18, and we've actually decked out the flat, moved them into their own flat, set them up, and our biggest thing here is we keep in touch with all of them, like it's an open door, because this is their home, and it was their home for a long time. And all of our children will come back and see us, or ring us, or bring their children back to see us. So it's a ever evolving, revolving door.
I think it's a good sort of transition into talking about the support that you guys offer when a child does go back to a foster carer, or go back into their own family life or kinship or wherever they might end up. You guys support a lot with that as well, don't you?
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. So we would always have a transition plan. So whenever a child's coming in or going anywhere, we would always have a really, really detailed transition plan, which would include how often we go and see them. We'll take them out, pick them up from school. We keep in touch like you would any relative, really. And then we keep in touch with them. Usually the transition plan lasts for like about 3 months, 6 months.
So 6 months overall, depends.
And then it sort of just it's led by the child, really. I mean, for some children it might be too much for them to be getting to know 2 foster carers that are quite new to them, and to be keeping in touch with 14 of their old carers. It might be a bit overwhelming. They might just need to focus on who they're getting to know. But it depends on the child. But we would then, once they're ready, we would always get back in touch, and we would always go for coffee, take them out for tea. If they ever need to call because they're having a bad day and they're not quite sure if they can tell the foster carer what's going on, that they don't know how they're going to react yet, then we'd always be at the end of the phone.
For instance, when you talked to Anne, the child that she moved to, it was a year of planning and building it up before she moved.
Yeah.
So it started off very, very slowly as an idea, and then it was like, actually, let's explore this further. Then we found a foster carer who was like, well, actually, I've got a bed coming up. And it started off on a couple of phone calls, and then a few visits with us.
Walks.
Really, really informal sort of things, and then went to her going across and having tea there without us, and then it built up to a longer period of having time there, then an overnight there, then a weekend there, then a week in the holidays there. So we just took it really slowly and at her pace, because she was quite scared by that whole thing as well. So we had to really, really play that one really carefully. And then it was about a year, wasn't it, overall? And then she moved. And then we had the transition plan of what we would do, and we would come across and we still take her out and things like that. And so she's been living there over a year now.
Yeah, we're nearly 2 years.
Yeah, nearly 2 years in January she'll have been living there now, and it's not been smooth sailing. There's had ups and downs.
And what was lovely with her, because she'd lived here for nearly 4 years, so we did like it wasn't a leaving party, it was a new home party. So we went down to the local pub, and there was almost every single carer that had worked with her in that 4 years went to it. Her old teachers went to it, the other children went, the carers that was taking over, she asked them to come as well. So we all did this big celebration of everything that she'd achieved. There was loads of photos of everything that she'd done in the 4 years that she'd been here. We all got a little present, and then she spoke about what things were going to look like down there and how excited she was for a new house, that she was going to decorate a bedroom. So that was really nice, because it was just a nice way. It wasn't an ending, it was a move, and it was lovely for her. We all got like happy new home cards rather than like sorry you're leaving cards. And then she, the foster carer got everybody's numbers so that she could keep in touch with people if she ever needed them, or wanted to chat about anything.
And then we get invited to their birthday parties. They had a big birthday party for her for her 16th.
She went axe throwing.
We all went we all went to that still. So them links are always there.
But it's flipping it, isn't it, from something that would naturally be very daunting to something being really positive. Even as an adult, moving house, even not going to live with a different family, just moving house, you think, oh, it's a new area, it's a new place, I don't know, and it's just daunting, isn't it? So it's making it a positive experience rather than a negative one.
And especially with this girl, because all of her previous moves from foster carer to foster carer, she'd always felt like that it was her fault. So it was my fault that I've been kicked out because I've done this, and so she'd had quite a few actually. She'd had multiple
11.
Foster care placements.
But I'd done quite a lot of life story work with her as well. So when we'd gone through all the placements that she'd had and why they ended, in her view, they'd ended because they couldn't cope with me. That was what she'd been told. They couldn't cope with me, and they kicked me out because of my behaviour. So I did a lot of work with her about none of that is your fault. You didn't do anything wrong within those placements. And then she was able to understand that and then she sort of sees now, I wasn't ready, or I was thinking this at the time and I wasn't able to tell them this was how I was feeling. So it took away a lot of that blame. And then it got obviously 4 years worth of work. She got to the point where she was able to try foster care again, which has worked out really well for her.
What are the outcomes that you hope for the children that are in residentials?
The outcomes are like as high as we can achieve for these kids. They as you know, the kids in care outcomes are often thought of as they're going to prison, or they're ending up in this, or ending up in that. A lot of our children, when they first move to us, aren't in education, or are struggling in education, or are not in the right education placement. So that's a real focus for us, to get them into the right ones so they can get them exam grades. We've just had our last lot of kids that just moved out had all got GCSEs, and they'd achieved in like things that they weren't going to achieve, they didn't think they was going to achieve in. So they got all GCSE certificates, they're going to college. We had one child who lived with us who refused school at one point and used to walk around town, and we used to follow him all around town every day for about 3 months. And then we got him back in school, we got him back home, and he went to college, and he's in college now and he's loving it. Like, it's just...
And he gives us a ring on his dinner break.
The turnaround we can do, and like what these kids are capable of is just amazing, because the resilience in them that you see, and the fight in them, and the fact that they like what they've been through. Like, I'm in awe sometimes every day of these kids, because I read the backgrounds. Like, I can read it, and I'm horrified by reading it. Like, they've lived it, yet they are getting up, they're going to school, Like they're achieving so much every single day.
Because they need people who believe in them. That's what they crave, innit? They've never had that. They just want to have those people who, it's not, oh no, you can't do that because you're kidding care. Oh, actually no, you live in a children's home, so we'll probably not even bother putting that form in for you to go there, because no, they should be treated just like you would your own children. Whatever you think your own children could achieve, they might need a few more stepping stones to get there, but you put them in place and you do it.
And I think the thing about residential is they've got so many people that fight for them. They're workers that we have, and we're very lucky at Northern because like we've got an amazing team. But it's because you have such a passion for working with these kids and for seeing what impact you can have on them. And then when they go off and fly the nest and you've been part of that, you've helped them become who they are. That's what it's about.